Well, this one-lane road out in the middle of nowhere, this just flows. There's no governance needed, save for maybe a stop sign here or there, maybe a couple speed limit signs. But you wouldn't need a system to manage any of that. It just kind of manages itself. How about a town or a smaller city? You know, you got some perpendicular roads, an intersection. You might need some crosswalks so pedestrians don't get hit by a car. Maybe some traffic lights, police managing a busy intersection, but an ATMS is still kind of overkill, no? But how about when your city gets to this level? A complex highway, interstate interchanges, multi-layered overpasses, serpentining in and out. You might need the ATMS in order to effectively orchestrate this level of traffic. This is Beijing's ATMS. It's the most advanced of its kind. It's a top-down management view that integrates technology in order to improve the flow of traffic and increase road safety. Real-time traffic data is gleaned from thousands of CCTVs, speed sensors, GPS navigation data, Google Maps, and even Waze. All this data flows into the Transportation Management Center, where it's integrated and processed for incident detection. Think insight into action. Our ATMS operators have the ability to dispatch police and ambulance to an accident. They can reroute traffic on the fly. They can update LED traffic signs with dynamic messaging and variable messaging. And they can also broadcast the latest traffic announcements through radio stations. All these actions can be taken in real time with the goals of improved traffic flow, better data collection, and faster information dissemination. You can imagine a city's traffic operation before and after an ATMS implementation. Before, none of it was tied together. But now, the system's integrated and orchestrated from a central control tower that allows for instantaneous communication and immediate action to be taken. You know, actually, as an aside, this actually happened in China on the national highway, Chinese National Highway 110. It was a traffic jam that happened in 2010, and it lasted for 10 days. Some people were stuck in their cars for 5 days. So it was like the largest traffic jam in recorded history. So I think they're like doing a little bit better now with the ATMS. So traffic operators, they can now see the city's traffic as is. They can identify patterns and inefficiencies, and they can take action to help improve the safety and flow of traffic. It's almost as if the ATMS allows the city's complex roads to be viewed like a process model. It looks similar, right? Take Appian's process mining discovery capabilities, which allows you to see the as-is business process, or the discovered model, and compare it against a to-be process, or target model. We call this conformance checking. This is how a process matches up against its ideal state. This allows business stakeholders to identify execution gaps and bottlenecks in the process, and then task Appian designers to automate away the inefficiencies with the Appian process modelers. So you see the image of an Appian order fulfillment process model. Now we've added in key automations like AI, document classification and extraction, RPA, so that we better conform to an ideal process state. There's some intelligent business rules in there and no-code API integrations. Appian allows us to discover, automate, monitor, and optimize our business processes, just like an ATMS does for city traffic. This workflow looks like our one-lane road that we saw earlier. It's a very happy path process. This kind of thing's very trivial to diagram with the Appian process modeler. Fortunately, most of the modern workflow tools, they only offer this level of power. Sequential linear flows, there's not too much going on. So what exactly separates Appian's workflow capabilities from other workflow tools? A lot of companies, startups nowadays say they have workflow, but what exactly are they saying? Well, the term workflow is just rebranded BPM from the 2000s, which was rebranded workflow from the 80s. Now, there is a difference between the two. Workflow is a component of BPM, and it's utilized for more human tasks and document management, whereas BPM is made for the enterprise. It handles complex systems with a lot of moving parts, interconnected processes. I've heard people say, workflow is like the plane trying to land, and BPM is the orchestration of the whole operation of an airport. And I'm also reminded of this quote: sooner or later, everything old is new again. Trends in the marketplace, they're always cyclical. Lower-end tools, they'll try to capitalize on what's trending. But if those tools don't have a strong foundation, strong standards in process management, then they may not be able to orchestrate for the enterprise. Sooner or later, everything old is new. I think this applies to mullets right now. You guys see mullets coming back in the 2020s? It's kind of strange. It took the 2020s for that to happen, right? Everybody locked in their homes, like, yeah, I think mullets are cool again. So that's what's going on now. I might get one. But Appian's always had strong standards. Appian's process modeler, it can do things other workflow tools frankly can't and won't be able to do. There's just more gears on the Appian process engine. It's able to handle enterprise scale, complex workflows in a graceful, beautiful way. And we're able to do this because at the core of our engine is the BPMN standard. And the great thing about BPMN is that it is not vague. Flowcharts are vague. Custom code, it's too complicated. Business process model notation is just right. BPMN defines precise meaning for each shape and symbol that you see dragged onto this model. So it's familiar to the business because it looks like a flowchart, but since it has semantics and rules, this makes it shareable with IT because that's what custom code is. It's a unified common language. Everyone's on the same page. And with almost 20 years of development at its back, it stood the test of time and can model everything, from simple to the most advanced business processes. So, for the next 10 minutes, I want to show you 3 tried and true patterns that you can implement with Appian in order to write good BPMN. These patterns will help you maximize efficiency, productivity, and understanding around all of your business processes, and as a result, it'll reduce operational complexity. We'll use our order fulfillment model as our baseline process. So most modern workflow tools, they're going to be able to handle this type of sequential flows. There's not too much going on. You got a document coming in at a start node, do some extraction, reconciliation, task for human, and then maybe do some integrations. But as the complexity of this process grows, as we interconnect more of our business, more of that airport, we'll see how each BPMN pattern helps keep the model clear, complete, and consistent. We'll also see the incorrect way of modeling the workflow and how lower-end tools without BPMN can actually increase complexity. So pattern 1, parallel branching and merging paths. This pattern helps us create workflows that run faster for increased productivity. Linear workflows, like what you see here, they execute each task in sequence. So you have to wait for each task to complete before moving on. So you're as slow as the combined duration time of all of the completed tasks. Whereas being able to run tasks in parallel helps speed up processes. With Appian, tasks can be performed at the same time, so you're only as slow as the longest running task. Maybe HR, I don't know. So let's apply this pattern to our order fulfillment workflow. After we reconcile the purchase order, we're going to need some approval tasks. The approval policy at this company is such that either 2 managers or 1 executive can approve a purchase order. We can use Appian's parallel branching capability to model that. So first, we'll provide an AND gateway for the parallel paths to flow from. Then, we'll add our approval tasks, manager, manager, exec. These tasks can be worked on at the same time. So if the executive happens to approve and complete his task faster than the managers, then the flow will move on immediately. There is no holdup. Appian makes this possible with that little diamond star symbol right there. That's called a complex gateway. The complex gateway, it has a business rule set up on it that states if 2 managers or 1 executive has approved, then merge the paths and proceed. It's a condition. And that's all done with a low-code business rule. So whatever happens first, this saves us time. The parallel branches have merged back into a single path, flowing into and out of the complex gateway, and we're set. We're ready to go for our little RPA bot. But imagine if we could only do linear flows with our workflow tool. If there was no branching or merging paths with gateways, we would have to line up these tasks one after another, and we have to wait for one task to complete before the next one can be assigned. So if the first manager takes 1 day and the second 2 days, then your approval process took 3 days. So our processing time is slower because we combine the duration of all the tasks. Luckily, with Appian and our BPMN pattern, we modeled it in such a way that if an executive is able to act quicker, then we can proceed without waiting around for manager approval. In this instance, having the power to work on tasks simultaneously has saved us a great deal of time. Pattern 2, sub-process and decision rules. Sub-processes and no-code business rules can help save an organization time and money by assisting with collaboration and getting business and IT on the same page. They also help with process reusability and modular design, which keeps things separate and organized. The Appian Process Modeler allows you to take and break down larger process problems, that looks kind of messy, into a number of smaller sub-processes. Now our model is easier to understand, and when business and IT get together and review this process, they can see the complete model up front, and then they can drill down where needed. So let's apply this pattern to our order fulfillment process again. We'll drag in a sub-process node. This is responsible for running the purchase order discount logic. Appian's no-code drag-and-drop modeler makes us a breeze. We just connect our flows. And now we'll focus in on the sub-process. It looks nice and neat. We can bring this model to the business, and they'll understand what's going on. If we double-click and view the sub-process, we'll see that there's a discount rule being applied up at the start, right there on the left under rules on the green column. The flow then proceeds to go through a couple of approval tasks. You gotta go to the deal desk, maybe account executive, the customer has to sign off again. But all the discount logic, it's encapsulated into an Appian no-code decision table. This makes it clear for both the business and IT to see how the discount logic is being applied. Now imagine if we had to do this without our patterns. This almost looks like code. It's the same discount logic, it's just not encapsulated into the decision table. And without a sub-process node to separate it, the nested if-else logic becomes entangled in the parent process, making it much harder to reason about. Compared to the good BPMN model, it's night and day. The process model and business logic is separated and organized into sub-processes and decision rules, making businesses and IT collaboration much more efficient and effective. So pattern 3, handling exceptions with message events and rollback compensation. This pattern helps guarantee that the steps in our process either all occur successfully, or if none, or if one fails, then the successful steps can be compensated. So it's an all or nothing pattern. Being able to roll back and provide compensation steps is critical for maintaining a known termination state. For instance, if we were booking a trip and there are multiple steps like car rental, booking a hotel, and then maybe a flight, and then for whatever reason the flight transaction failed, then we'd want to make sure that we canceled the rest of the activities in the series. We want to ensure that any exception in our flow leaves our process in a known termination state. Partially updated systems can cause greater problems than just rejecting the whole series outright. Now, we can handle exceptions and achieve this level of compensation very simply in Appian with messages and exception flows. So we'll again apply this pattern to our order fulfillment process. If a customer needs to cancel the order for any reason, then we need a way of notifying the running process. The best way to do this is to send a message event to the order fulfillment parent process instance. So the parent process simply gets notified from an outside event that the order has been canceled by the customer. This prevents us from having to pull some database for cancellation updates or put cancellation checks at every step of the parent process. And we can set this up back in the parent process with just a couple of mouse clicks. We add a receive message event to each node of the parent process. These nodes will now listen for a message event from an outside process. And once a cancel message is received, we'll want to roll back the order fulfillment process to a known termination state. Now you see these red lines, they're coming from the receive message symbols, that little email symbol. There's special flows in Appian that orchestrate the compensating activities. So for example, if we receive a cancel order message while we are calculating the discount, then the compensation steps are initiated. A bot is sent to cancel the sales order in SAP. We remove the opportunity in Salesforce, and then we can cancel the order in the database. So our process is left in a known termination state. It's the same state it started in. Without message events and compensation rollbacks, exception handling becomes tricky and not fun to manage. We end up having to check whether the order is canceled after each node, and without a reusable sub-process or routine, these checks can become unwieldy. We risk leaving our system partially updated, and we can't guarantee a known termination state. So, what do the final models look like? Well, here's our bad model. This is what I'd end up with if I had to rely on a workflow tool that doesn't meet the BPMN spec. Thankfully, with Appian, we can create good models because the Appian process modeler adheres to the BPMN specification. With these patterns and a BPMN-backed enterprise-grade workflow tool, nothing will stop you from gaining efficiency, productivity, and understanding around your complex business processes, while at the same time reducing complexity. The canvas is blank. Where will you start? Well, the good news is you can start today. Everything you saw here today is available in our Community Edition. Just sign up at appian.com/community edition and receive your very own cloud instance that you can keep forever. Basically, if you're interested in trying out any of these patterns, then you can start right after this session. You guys have seen all the great new features that speed up app development in 22.2, so go pull down a Community Edition, create a new application, and Appian will actually ask you what you want to do next. Click, I want to create a new process model, and you can begin modeling with the best-in-class, high-end, enterprise-grade workflow tool backed by the BPMN specification. So that'll do it for me. It was great to be able to speak to you guys today in person. Have a great rest of the event and safe travels home. Cheers.